sure.
Oh my gosh. Yes, yeah.
He was tangly last time.
That's awesome. All right, guys, we'll let in a couple more coaches. Yeah, we're getting close there. Wow, yeah. All right. So I think, yeah, we're getting close to that mark. Give coach a few more minutes. All right, guys. All right.
Hey, Marshall, good to see you.
Good to see you all, everybody. Thanks for joining.
All
Lots of
right,
familiar
guys.
faces here, so
All right.
great to see you.
What's that unicorn?
Oh, yeah. Kids are having a blast tonight. All right, guys, so we can get started here. As Marsh said, thank you for joining us. Marsh, you have you've got the co-host, right? All that stuff. I'll make sure, buddy, so you can get as a few more people are coming on. Yeah, David, I'll make sure too, buddy. You have a co-host there. All right, guys. All right, excited to have Coach David Manning join us today. David Manning is joined the faculty of St. Andrews College in 2006. He's having previously taught with the Eastern School District and St. Bonaventure's College in St. John's, Newfoundland. Manning earned a BA from Colby College in Maine and a Bachelor's in Technology Education diploma from Memorial University of Newfoundland. Has also had the experience as a youth care worker for the St. Francis Foundation, an organization dedicated to development of growth of troubled teenagers. Has his master's in educational leadership, also from Memorial University. David teaches courses in Canadian civics, health and physical education, and computer science in the upper school. Coaches first soccer and first hockey before embracing a coaching career at the minor league level. Jacques Martin was a goaltender with the NCAA's St. Lawrence University, from 1972 to 1974. Coach David Manning, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. It's an interesting opportunity to be able to present to so many people in so many different places and talk a little bit about the way we do things and the concept of offensive transition. And I think the title, when Marshall asked me to take this on, thinking of a title, and I've done presentations in the past about how we approach the way we practice and the way we train on a daily basis, and that was very useful in kind of crystallizing or solidifying what we do. But I think the big thing that I wanted to accomplish this time is think about the practical uses of what we do on a daily basis of practice and how we can apply that to game situations. And so the situation that I chose to kind of focus in on is offensive transition and how that can change or does change for us depending on the zone that we're in. And we'll take it from there, I guess. And so a little bit of an overview of what we're going to cover today. We're going to introduce the idea of a game model. And we're going to talk about what tactical phases are and how we will think about the game of hockey and in the grander sense and how it interacts with one another and how the two teams interact. Talk about principles of play, and then kind of circle back to take those principles and how do they get applied in the defensive zone, the neutral zone, the offensive zone. I've been on Zooms now for the last 2 months, like I'm sure everybody has. So we're going to have a little bit of a breakout activity so we can interact a little bit. These meetings tend to be very one-way, and as a teacher trying to get 15, 16, 17-year-old boys to interact in some of these meetings has been a challenge. So I'm going to see if it works better with adults tonight.
Coach David, I apologize. It's the slides are coming through blurry a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Give me 1 second here.
Yep.
To check. Coming through blurry.
Dave, you're also in presentation mode too. So we're seeing the next slide that's going to come. Like, if you could just present
How's that look now? Vinny, how are we looking now?
Yeah, it's still
Still
coming through.
blurry.
Still blurry?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it has to do with, let me see here.
Yeah, could be.
End the show. Try it again. How's that? Blurry?
Better.
A little less. You can see it a little bit better.
Much better, yeah.
Yeah, because it's bigger.
Okay.
One thing that might help is we're maxed out here in terms of our participants. If maybe if people cut their own cameras, just put your video or hide your video, that might help introduce a bit more bandwidth for us.
Yeah, if you mute the video, that usually works.
And that cleared up too. Looks good now.
Okay. As I was saying, we'll do a breakout activity and get a sense of some of the things maybe I've missed, and that hopefully a discussion will ensue for 5-6 minutes, and we'll come back and I'll show how, as I mentioned in previous presentations that I've done, talking about the way we train and our philosophy there, and thinking about offensive transition and some of the examples of things that we would do in a training environment to help kind of reinforce these principles. And then we'll finish up with a question and answer. So I guess the first thing would be, what is a game model? And I think that terminology is not unique. I guess there's other ways to describe that. It could be a game philosophy, what the coach believes, how it should be played. But in this instance, the game model will define how you want your team to play. And it takes into account a number of different factors that are, important to that team. And as you can see on the right-hand side, the players' capabilities, how good are the players that you're playing? How capable are they of learning at different concepts, and what type of competition, levels are they able to handle? The coach's ideas are very important. How do you want your team to play? The culture, and this is obviously an adapted screen from a soccer club, but what are the things about your team, your club, that are important? What are the things that they hold dear? Do they like to play physical? Are they a team that's built off of speed? And so, all of these things get taken into account, and structurally, what are the parts of the organization that are important that you have to kind of define into how you want the team to play. And you see that probably the biggest factor that we're going to talk about here today is moments in the game. And so, thinking about how hockey is structured as an invasion game where you're trying to attack another team's goal, how do those moments shape within your game model how you want to play? And then you'll see we're going to talk specifically about principles and sub-principles of play, and how they come into play to shape what you're doing on a daily basis. And then lastly, what factors, when you think about this, when you're putting together your own philosophy, which I think is very important. It's a great starting point for any team at the beginning of the season, or when you take over a program, is think about, how do you want your team to play? How do you want them to act? How do you want them to be? It's important. So what factors are unique to your team? And for us, in a school environment, we have to take those things into account. And how do we interact with the school community? How do we represent the school as a hockey team? I think those things are important as well. For us, when thinking about, what is our game model, based upon, so in the St. Andrews context, we know that hockey is a complex system. There's lots of moving parts in a hockey game. That's one of the beauties of hockey, is that it moves fast. There's lots of action. That's why people, when they get a chance to see it for the first time, they're really drawn to the speed and disorder of things. And the movement between order and disorder happens very rapidly in a game of hockey, and understanding that and learning how to function within that without trying to control is probably the biggest thing that we've been able to wrap our heads around. And we also have the desire, we want to play with skill, even though there is order and disorder. We want to play with skill, creativity, thought. We want our players, we want to see our players express themselves when they get a chance to play. The necessity to play with intensity. I think hockey is an aggressive, fast-paced, intense game, and that doesn't mean anything in terms of physical play. It's more so of mentality, which we'll talk about throughout here, the mentality to play with intensity, to have no fear about kind of what the outcomes may be. So we want to have that necessity to play with intensity. And then lastly, I think it's important, I'm dealing with high school age kids, and, but at the end of the day, I think it should be fun and enjoyable. And I think we want to make sure that our game model takes into account that these are kids and this should be fun and they should enjoy what they're doing. They should have a smile on their face and really enjoy coming to the rink and performing, whether it be in a training environment or in a game environment where they get the chance to express themselves. In terms of going through this, we went through this process where we built a credo and we built the game model. And so this is, I took this part out of it. It's longer than this, but this is, part of the statement that we would say about our team. And I kind of will weave its way through everything else that we're going to talk about. We want the puck at all times. We move on and off the puck quickly and timely. We're always looking to combine with teammates to outnumber the opposition. We play fast, aggressive, and positive, displaying skill and intensity on every inch of the ice. And so that's part of our game model. In the kind of a more of a full sentence form, you're going to see the kind of the nuts and bolts as it pertains to the offensive transition side of things. But we solicited players. We thought about the way we wanted to play as coaches, and we put this together in a way that it reflected who we wanted to be. And it's a really positive exercise to have the kids take part in that. We were able to do that, and I think with slight tweaks here or there, but I think this paragraph here relates specifically to the topic we're going to talk about today. So the second part, or the next part, we'll talk about were the phases of the game. And so we probably have a very, in the hockey sense, a very non-traditional way to kind of look at how we move from order and disorder, as I mentioned, in a game of hockey. And so, if we think about the game, for us, there's 4 states and 4 phases that happen in a game, in the general game, and 2 kind of that are on the periphery here with face-offs and special teams, because they're a bit unique to the game of hockey. But you play defense. That's when you don't have the puck. You play offense when you have the puck, and then there's these phases at the top where you're organizing or transitionally. And so these are kind of the offensive organization. That phase here is kind of where we're living today. It's the moment when you get possession after playing defense, as you can see on the left-hand side here. It's that moment when you're organizing offensively to be offensive and to create offense. And so I think it's important, for us, when you think about those transitions that happen between all these 4 phases, we try and build everything we do lives within this model here. And everything we build in a training environment on a daily basis, for the most part, lives within this model. And the transitions between these states or these phases, or where the game kind of moves from the chaotic nature to the controlled nature. And so we want to be really efficient in here. And as you can see, obviously face-offs kind of stand alone. It's really the only fixed kind of situation in a game, and special teams, as I said, are unique to the game of hockey, where teams have an extra player, and that kind of changes things. But for the most part, most of the game is going to live within these four areas. And so if I take the example of kind of building what the nuts and bolts of your game model, if we take the example of offensive transition, so the phase of the game, transition from defend to attack, so that one that lived at the top. Our main principle, we want to retain possession. So we've just won the puck, we've defended, we've done a good job in whatever manner it may be. We've gotten possession of the puck, or we're about to get possession of the puck. That is the main principle. We want to retain it. That's our number one goal in the offensive transition, is to retain possession. Below that, you see sub principles, which we'll get into, of manipulating space and puck support. So manipulating space is, how can we create space for us to operate? How can we get from defensively, where we're trying to compress and contain and run teams out of options? How can we manipulate that space now to make ourselves bigger, create gaps, create holes where we can attack and move pucks and be offensive? Next, the sub-principle, obviously, and the related off of retaining possession, is puck support. How can we support the puck quickly and efficiently? And then off of that, you see sub-principles below that kind of tie into the entire model, obviously, because it cascades down. Is that timing? Is our timing good, that we're getting into areas at the right time? We arrive when the puck arrives, or we're getting to places where, the pass becomes easier because we have the proper timing to get there. Mentality switch. It's one thing to get the puck, but are our brains, are our players thinking, are they switching their mentality from now we're defending to we want to attack as quickly as we possibly can? Communication can be verbal or physical. Are we communicating? And I say to our team, and I've heard other coaches say this, and if you get to watch really good teams, they're loud. Good teams are loud teams. And so communication becomes a huge part of, making all these pieces work as well. And then pace, we want to play fast. But again, you see the main principle for us is possession, and through the different levels, we have other things that we want to attack. So that right there, this is for the offensive transition stage of the game where we've just won the puck and we're organizing to play offense. This is our game model. This is how we've taken that statement and put it into workable parts where now we can talk about how we manipulate space. We can talk to the players. And what it really does is it simplifies the game to a level that we know now, or we should know if we do a good job teaching and coaching the players, that these are the things that we're concentrated on. And when our players all do these things in unison in any moment of the game, that's when we know we've done a good job coaching. There's still going to be mistakes. They're going to make plays. There's things that are going to happen, but it makes the pieces of the puzzle very simple for them to understand and for us to teach at the same time. So what is the point of all this? We're talking about, those principles and sub-principles, but, we play defensive zone. We want to lead that to an exit out of our own end. Okay, we play in the neutral zone with the puck. We just won it. We want to get an entry so we can attack. And then in the offensive zone, we win the puck, whether it's through pressure or whatever it may be, or retrieval. We want to lead ourselves to get shots, which all of this adds up to scoring goals, and obviously. And this chart on the right-hand side was timely. You'll see the citing at the bottom. I'm an avid follower of, analytics and some of the different studies. And the study was really about offensive sequences in the hockey decision tree and how kind of the way things connect together to create offense. And you can see in the yellow, controlled entry, a pass exit, and a carry exit. So, options that you have possession when you either enter or exit the zone. You can see the percentages here. A controlled entry, obviously 60%. Okay, that's going to lead to a shot attempt. A pass exit, 39%. Any type of exit with possession is going to lead. And you can see down here, a dump entry jumps right down to 14%. A failed pass exit, so a dump out, or bad execution, goes from 39% down to 9%. So these are key components to creating an offensive team. And if you can really focus in on how you transition and the mentality of doing it efficiently, and this is really what the game model helps you do, you're going to be a better team. And that's reality. The next graph is right here. This is another one from that's quite popular, showing in the blue here. Basically, these are all the goals that are scored at the NHL level. I think it's from 2015 or 16. But you can see at the bottom, you have seconds in time. And so, talking about the chaotic nature of the game and how things happen quickly, and that transition from offense to defense, or that transition phase, is really important. After about, most goals happen within that 10 seconds, 7 seconds, it's huge. And it kind of falls off the map after that 5 second, 7 second interval. So the quicker we can transition efficiently and do it the right way, the more opportunities you're going to have to create offense. So in the defensive zone, things we'll focus on. We've got some video to show. As you see on the right-hand side, I've got the hierarchy that we just talked about, but spacing. How does that relate in the defensive zone? How are we going to get to space to stretch the coverage out as quickly as we possibly can? Quick supports. How can we be in good position? Good quick supports usually in the defensive zone comes from good coverage defensively. That's going to be built on being in the right place defensively. And if you can operate small spaces, you're going to have good quick supports. But if people know the release points, where you're going to have an opportunity to stretch the defensive zone out, get the team chasing, and hopefully have a good exit. Manipulating and controlling the space, kind of what are the areas in the defensive zone where we're trying to do that. And then exit gaps. I want to introduce a concept that we talk about that is important for us and how we want to attack. So space control, we see here in this diagram, we got a defenseman. Let's say he wins the puck in this area. And, you know, we're in defensive zone coverage. This D at the net front, maybe near post, maybe back post, depending on what your philosophies are. But you can see in terms of how we control the space, how do we get out of this area? You know, we've got a few options. We can release to the back of the net, to that D. You know, we've got the little middle play or a little bump play to the soft spot there where the center is, or we can kind of go up to the wall to the left winger. And once we get to those areas, now we can open that zone up to create an exit for ourselves. And you can see in this instance, we've got the red, you know, the way we teach, we've got that right winger sliding and creating width. And so how can we get from this small area where there's lots of numbers, how can we open the zone up so teams have to chase and gives us opportunities to exploit their gaps? Space control. So as we said, the whole concept for us of exit gaps. So if you think about the boards and the two defensemen, so you know, we'll exclude the forwards in this because they're going to back pressure, side pressure, and that's just part of the reality. But in order for us, one of the goals we have is we want to make teams defend the entire width of the rink, and especially when we exit our zone, as well as through the neutral zone. In the offensive zone, as we'll talk about, they're going to get a little bit more creativity or a little bit more freedom to kind of make things up. But in this instance, we want to make them defend the entire width. So the idea of the exit gaps is that if we have the boards and the D, there's a gap between each physical thing. So board, D, other D. We want to be in these gaps. And because of that, it causes some indecision or the ability for us to force the defenders into a decision. And through that, hopefully our players are savvy enough to pick up on, you know, body cues and the way we're able to create space is that because we're able to have them defend the entire width of the rink, it gives us more opportunity to create gaps and create opportunities to score. To get that clean exit. So click to the video. I apologize. We've got to go out to huddle here. Okay, so first clip. Okay, we win. We see what we see here is a player who's net front. He sees there's going to be a pin and a loose puck. He gets into support quickly. Next player sees he's going to have pressure, does a little soft spot. He works to the wall. He collects it. Good timing and support. And now we're out. This ends up in a goal that probably shouldn't happen, but we don't care about that. But you see good reads, get in support positions, easy as that. Okay, so in this instance here, you can see all these players are in a very tight area. Like, you know, we want to compress the space in the middle of the ice. So we've just won the puck. So as you can see right away, the mentality, you'll see here when I press play, the mentality switch right away of our players of getting into spaces, finding ways to get into those gaps will happen right away. We win the puck, we create width. Now we've got guys in all three of those gaps. Okay, we've got a good fourth man coming. Kind of broken play, good back check by them. Okay, puck's one in the corner. Okay, he sees, you know, this is an instance where he doesn't get this puck, but he jumps below to offer support, pulls that guy with him. Now creates an opportunity for this defenseman to make a really skilled play. He's a pretty good player. Okay, but he's got lots of options, lots of width coming through the neutral zone. We've stretched him out. Same thing. Oops. Jumps to the wall. Okay, we got good timing. One of the things we tell our players a lot is that you've got to trust your teammates. And so in this instance here, this guy that I have circled, he sees or should see, he's reading this, that defenseman, that's a huge gap. That guy's going to come up with that puck. And so his first thought is, how can I create width? So in that instance there, he creates width. We pick it up. He doesn't like the play. And then we talk about manipulating the space. We play the width. And now he's got tons of options, and he's got a huge gap to attack. He makes the decision to go across ice and forcing the D to jump out. And now just poor execution there, but there should be a chance, and we don't make it happen. Okay, another defensive zone clip. We win the puck right here. We're on top of it. Okay, he sees we've won the puck. He's going to create width. Opens it up. Now we're out. Now we've got three guys above, and we're able to, you know, a bit of a broken play, but we're in good position to make it play. Off a draw, guy jumps below. Let's create width. Reverse it back. Okay, create width. Now we're in the gaps, and we can attack and force them to defend. Okay, same thing. Trusting our teammates. 16 sees that he's going to come up with that puck. Okay, how can I create width to force 23 to come with me? 23 even points at him. As you can see, we've got those gaps. We've got guys in all three gaps. We're not worried about the forwards. We let them do what they need to do. And now defenseman gets to make a decision. We're out with the opportunity to attack. Okay, back to here. So as you can see, for us, that spacing, that wide, being able to stretch them out, that concept of exit gaps is really important for us. In the neutral zone, in terms of creating space, we're really concentrating on trying to create depth. And because of that, it helps us kind of lead to exploiting spaces and gaps in the defending team, much like we just talked about in the defensive zone. We're trying to manipulate them to get them into areas where we can drag them out and then create the timing and the speed to be able to move pucks and open them up and be able to attack. Because as we talked about, the whole idea from neutral zone is to create a clean entry. One of the other concepts to talk about space between the lines, and that's really where we're trying to attack, and that's what we're trying to exploit by creating that depth. So in this drawing right here, we got a left winger. In this instance, could be anybody. Center and right winger track him back. Left winger does a good job, strips the puck. What happens? He's, here are his different options. He can grab it and get moving back up the ice. He can use a strong side defenseman if that's a good play. He can use his middle defenseman if he happens to be a play. Hopefully the center will put the brakes on and gives him a little bump pass to the middle. And then obviously, I think one of the outs we'll see in some of the videos for our players that our guys know we can throw that cross ice pass over there because someone's going to be there. And you'll see a couple clips where that happens. Space between the lines. So what we're trying to do in terms of the way we function in the neutral zone in offensive transition is we're trying to exploit the spaces between their lines of defending. So if a team plays a 1-2-2, you see an F1's coming through, that space between their F1 and their next layer of the two forwards is a space we want to attack. The space, depending on where that first puck goes, we want to attack the space between that second layer of forwards and their defenders. So we're trying to get into positions where we can stretch them out and make them play as big as possible. So you'll see, on the strong side, that winger is going to stretch and pull that D back, hopefully create a bit of a gap there. Puts the F2 in a bit of a tough spot, whether he jumps down or not. Hopefully the center lives right into that space between the lines, and that becomes a really easy pass for us. The key here, and we'll see it in the next clip, is that D, who probably gave the D pass, but he's going to kick underneath to give us that depth. And off of that depth, we're able to really stretch them out and create some options for ourselves. And then you'll see our left winger, he's going to stay out in that gap between D1 and the boards. So negative space, D has the puck, he hinges up. Now he's got the options. He's got the throwback option to his middle D, who kicked underneath. He's got the cross ice pass, attacking that space between their lines if they haven't done a good job. Some teams will sit their F3 right up on that center, okay, and a 1-3-1 and maybe bring a soft guy up. And this is all about kind of adjusting, and teams will adjust and will adjust because of that. But we're trying, these principles are really irrespective of kind of what other teams are doing. If we do a good job of moving pucks and supporting and changing the mentality and having the timing and playing with pace, there's going to be options. We just have to be smart enough and smart enough and quick enough to figure what those options may be. So we see the options that come off of this. Centers could do a job where they come flat underneath their forward there, or they could come on the top side, kind of stretching them out and forcing that guy to make decisions. So some video from neutral zone. Sorry, full screen. So we'll see here, okay, we've got that guy kicking underneath. A little bit of a bobble puck, stretched them out. Okay, now we've got that huge space here. Excuse my drawing, but we've got that huge space to attack. Our center hopefully does a good job. Boom, poor execution, but if he catches that puck, we've got speed, we've got timing. We should be able to create something. Next clip, okay. Play it up, broken play, comes back to the D. One of the things we talk to a lot about our D is we want them to be patient. We want them to kind of force teams to adjust to what they're doing. So you'll see we'll make that pass. D will hinge up. We got the throwback, great timing. He beats one forechecker just by catching a puck. So now he's in that gap, and now he's isolated this guy. He's got a couple options to 10 in the middle. He decides to carry, kick out, poor play by 23. Okay, now we've just won the puck here. We've got some options. As I said to you, one of the release points for us is that wide play. So you'll see this guy, he'll just throw it over there. Automatic for us. He grabs it, patience, create depth. So now we've got these two gaps, create depth, okay? Attack that space, middle play is on, wide is on, poor execution. But again, you see the principles and the concepts are there. Really good clip of the 2D being really patient. So he tries to escape, he scissors underneath, he hinges up, patience, kicks it under, nothing, a good catch. We've just broken two of their guys just by the D being patient. Now we've got 4 up ice, and now we can create off of that. I think we get a shot, maybe. Puck gets kicked out in the neutral zone. Okay, again, we talk about that shape. We've got middle support. One pass back, willing to protect it, kicks it wide, and we're back and we're able to attack with numbers and support with a good clean entry. I think we get a decent chance. Okay, we win the puck right here quickly. Now, everyone's compressed, similar to the offensive or defensive zone clip that we talked about. What is our mentality? We've just won the puck. Can we get to our spots quickly? So you see here, he's got to get there. Good support, good timing, kicks to the middle. Okay, we get a clean entry with a chance to make a play. Again, compressed really tight. Getting underneath, we get a chance. I think that's the last one. Oh, one more. Okay, see here, we win the puck. Lots of width. Clean entry, got 3 guys underneath right away. Okay. Lastly, offensive zone, how does this work? Spacing. We got to work hard to space in the offensive zone for sure a little bit more because teams will defend and compress space. That's their job to defend. And so when we win pucks back from a defending team, really we have to work hard. And a couple of the concepts underneath are that support play. Again, moving pucks quickly and efficiently in the offensive zone, especially off of where we're tracking and we get a back pressure and we get pucks that way. We've got to move quickly. Things have to happen quickly. The mentality, as we talked about, the mentality switch has to happen right away. Manipulating space, the concept of under. And so we talked about in the defensive zone, we're trying to the exit gaps and trying to get to the weak side to stretch them out. In the neutral zone, we talked about creating depth. In the offensive zone, the real space or controlling the space concept will be under. We're trying to get underneath them into an area where we can be dangerous for second chances, but we're just putting pressure on them. We're backing them off to create some space for guys to attack. Seeking two-on-ones. And I think that's a concept offensively that when we win pucks, how can we outnumber somebody as quickly as possible? And in switches, how can we get them to switch off defensively as quick as possible to create confusion and indecision in their coverage? So working under, as we said, how can we aggressively get under an opponent? So it could be from below the goal line. It could be, you make a pass and you work underneath. But that's just the mentality of skating hard aggressively with or without the puck to get to this area so we can be dangerous. And that's where goals are going to happen. As we all know, the percentages tell us that, most goals are going to happen from this area. Finding switches. So tough graph to see, but, F1 has the puck. He's being defended. And I think one of the concepts that or one of the philosophies that, we have to have, you're going to be an offensive team, that you've got to trust your players to carry pucks under pressure. They've got to be comfortable with a guy on them. They've got to be comfortable with puck protection and feeling that there's pressure there. And because of that, they have to seek out areas or finding ways they can switch. So you see center, he's inside of his guy, the green center, inside of F2. So F2 now, as he carries towards him, he's got a decision to make. Is he going to cut underneath? And if F1 does a good job of kind of creating some separation, now the center has to think about, do I shift to help? Causing that indecision between the two defenders. And F2, reading off of that, has got to find spaces and look to get pucks inside of that switch where they pass off their guys. And that's it's a underrated thing for offensive teams, but good offensive teams will find that. The guys with the puck will find ways to probe and pick ways to get switches, whether it's with their D on the strong side, with their forwards underneath, and good offensive players find ways to kind of hide and move inside those switches to get pucks. Okay. Seeking 2v1s, let's say if a player wins a puck here, he's seeking ways as soon as he wins it where he can outnumber. And there's a good clip in here where a forward will, walk up. He'll isolate that left winger. Now we have to have good active D getting into position. But when we win the puck, you see I have arrows on all 5 guys. They're all thinking about how can I get into spaces to support the puck and help that puck carrier create indecision in the coverage as quickly as we possibly can. So again, forcing a decision and causing the defensive shape to adjust. If he's carrying and seeking a 2v1, who was defending him, who may have lost a step, has to either retreat to the net, they're going to be chasing him, and other people have to decide. And in those indecision moments is when offensive teams can really cause some damage. So video clips. Okay, just 1 second, go full screen here. So you'll see here, back pressured is a mentality thing. Okay, we've won the puck now, we've got some create. Just because he back pressured creates a decent chance for himself. That's a mentality thing. We're going to track hard, put pressure, and create spaces for ourselves. Okay, instance puck on the boards. Now we've won the puck or we're winning the puck. Watch these 2 players as the puck squirts out, what they're trying to do. Right away, we win the puck. 9 gets some width, gets in between the players, and boom, in the back of the net. Because their mentality switch, boom, they're on the attack. They force the defenders to make decisions. Okay, this is out seeking a 2-on-1 or seeking a 2-on-1. He's going to bring his defender up, leaves it. Good aggressive play by the D. Indecision, 12 backs off. Probably should be a better shot there. He misses the net. Okay. We win the puck right here. Great width. Okay. Popping off in the support positions. Okay. We create a shot, but we open up the zone as much as we can. Again, trusting your D. He makes a great play and then, trying to make another play and goes from there. But you got to trust the players. Okay. Track and track and track. And this is where we talk about mentality. So that first forechecker causes puck to go up the wall. Player bobbles it, watches strides as he gets to the net. He's aggressively getting there. Boom, tip in the back of the net. That mentality of, we might win the puck, let's skate hard, is the mentality switch we talk about from defense to offense. Okay, we win the puck right here. Okay, same thing. We've won it. How can I support? Pop, puck comes through, patient, get a good chance out of it. Okay. Not sure why this one's in there. Okay, I think it's more to do with kind of probing and finding ways. But again, in blue, finds a way to get underneath. He's got body position, almost scores because he works underneath. Important concept for offensive player on and off the puck. Okay. We win the puck right here. Okay, mentality. He's working. He's going to get underneath. He's getting underneath his guy to put pressure on that D to back off and respect it. So he gets underneath. Again, should be executed better. Probably would have had a breakaway. Okay, another thing we talked about, trusting the players, but you see here he retrieves. This is an area where, a lot of teams would dump this puck, but really he's putting the pressure on his teammates to be aggressive here. So he wants to protect it. He's waiting for help. 23 does really nothing for him until he figures out this guy needs some help. He's waiting for it, protects it, pushes it, finally gets into a spot. And we get a really good chance because he works and he protects the puck. We get 2 good chances out of it, actually. But trust the players, protecting pucks, waiting, putting pressure on the other guys to defend. Okay. This is a little bit of quasi, but again, seeking out 2-on-1s. He commits the guy, drops it, works underneath, get a good chance in the back of the net. Okay. He wasn't content just dropping and standing. It worked underneath. He got to the dangerous area of the ice. Okay, 1 second here. So I've got, as I said, we've been doing this for the last 2 months. I want to do a little breakout activity. Okay, Vinny's all set up, but I think we'll break into groups of 5 or 6. I think is that what it is. We'll take about 5 minutes, but nothing too strenuous. And then within your groups, introduce yourselves. Obviously, assign someone as a recorder. And there's not much recording. You're just going to pop something into the chat at the end. But I want you to think of 5 details that you think are essential for offensive transition. So as a group, come up with 5 things that you think. And they could be like puck protection or quick puck movement or scanning or shoulder checking, whatever it may be. You come up with 5 things that you think are essential or really important to the offensive transition. And I want you to rank them from most important to least important. And then put the one that you put in number one into the chat, and basically tell us, why do you think number one is the most important? Why is number one the most important? So Vinny, you got we all good there to pop everyone in?
Yep. Once I hit the create breakout rooms, guys, just take a look at it. You should see it. So everybody should just go automatic.
And when you're ready, just pop the answer into the thing. We'll take 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and I'll show some video how we would train these things. Do I stop the share now, Vinny?
Yeah, you can stop it now.
Okay.
Sorry, check that out, guys. Take a look at, guys. You should have a breakout room. So if you guys don't see the button, you guys want to hang out in here, we can start one in here. Or if you just want to hang out, just hang out. I'll broadcast that. Why did you rank as you did? Make sure.
Vinny, you turn it, we can bring everyone back now, I think.
Wait a minute. Cool. Yeah, breakout room 1 was having a really good discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, where am I putting? Where is the chat?
It's into the chat there at the bottom, yeah.
Okay.
So Vinny, we'll leave that for the Q&A at the end, okay?
Yep.
I'll power through on the practice video stuff
Awesome.
once everyone gets back in.
Yep.
Yeah, we weren't sure how to come back, so we were just having a little chat.
Good, you're in no man's eye. Vinny's the one who has to bring everyone back in.
Gotcha.
Also, breakout room 1, just geeking out. I was like, oh, this is a great discussion.
Good, that's the whole point. I'm hopefully instead of having to listen to me.
Oh yeah, they were breaking down your team good.
Most people can't understand you with your Newfie accent anyways, so.
I usually give a disclaimer, but I didn't feel it was necessary in this virtual world. But I guess you're probably right. We speak fast too, and that's part of it.
Yours is
Yeah.
not compared to Michael Ryder.
No, Michael is from Bonavista. That's definitely a little bit thicker up there. That's for sure. All right, should I get started, or is there more
Yep.
people still to come in?
Yeah, no,
We got another, well, unless we lost people outright, we're at about 75-ish or so.
yeah, I think we lost because yeah, by now after 60 seconds, it brings everybody back in.
Okay, so in terms of how we want to train these things, we're going to take the comments and we'll use it at the end. But as I said, I've done presentations in the past about constraints-based learning or game-based learning. There's lots of different terminology for it, but we want to think about what's the phase of play that we want to talk about. Obviously, today we're talking about offensive transition. What zone of the ice do we want to focus on? What are the principles, sub-principles that we're focusing on, as we mentioned? What are the habits, tactics, techniques, or skills that we're emphasizing? We just, hopefully your discussion's kind of focused in on those things. And then we build something and then we change it to kind of change the solutions as we go and create rules and different things that are going to, pull decisions out of the players. And constraints-based learning is, the teacher or the coach is the keeper of the learning environment. So, you create the scenario and the kind of learning, is created from there. You manipulate the constraints, so the things that are going to cause them to make decisions and problem solve and modify as they go. Having the patience, that's a huge one, to let the environment develop. These things they take time for the kids to kind of understand, and you may have to revisit exercises to see kind of the behaviors that you want to see. A big one for me in terms of continuing to get better is using reflective exercises and questioning. Trying to, instead of me telling them things, having them reflect and ask questions to get the answers that are going to bring the learning out of them. And then the last piece is, the inherent competitiveness of the kids to drive learning and growth. And as you can see at the bottom there, create an environment, the learning space, drive it with constraints, and then it becomes learner-centered, and we create problem solvers. So I've got some video here, just in terms of what these different exercises would look like. 1 second. There it is. Okay, we'll go to full screen. So first, talking about defensive zone. Okay, 2v2 plus 1, and exits teams are going to play 2-on-2. When the defending team wins the puck, they play into their player in the corner. So you see the ones in gray are together, obviously, and the reds are there. So they're tagging up. Talking about the concepts, this is a free-flowing, lots of transition, but the concepts of creating support. Next puck comes in, red's going to pressure. Okay, how can we get open? There's that width coming through. How can we support the puck? Just another rep here. Again, how do we exit from our zone? How do we support pucks as quickly and efficiently as we can? Next one, 3-on-3 plus 2 exits. So now we've moved to half ice. We've got 3 players per team with 2 support D-men. The D-men are up just inside, for the white team, just inside that blue line there. So when teams win the puck, they've got to play into their D-man to break out. So again, we're trying to replicate what would happen in a game. Okay, blue's got it, a little sloppy, create some chances here. Okay, as you'll see, white will get it. They'll play into their D. He's got to jump below the goal line. Now we're on. So how are we breaking out? Are we creating width? There you go. You see that gaps that we're talking about, the exit gaps. And now we just create some competition and some games off of that. But the concept of the exit gaps can be reinforced rep after rep in this. It's real pressure. Players got to make decisions and find ways to manipulate and create space. Again, being patient. It's not going to look exactly like it always does, but we're trying to build this in a competitive way where the players have pucks on their sticks and they make decisions. Moving to the neutral zone, it is a 2-on-2+2 game. You have 2 players behind the net as your support players, and they move up and play from there. You'll see, okay, we've got 2 red support players are behind. The reds are defending right now. They're going to win the puck and play back to their support players and then get open. The whites, they have to get inside the circle so they can pressure. So now it's about getting open, creating some depth there. They're going to attack, close a wheel. But again, it's competitive. Pucks around the stick. They're getting lots of reps. Okay. Still playing. We phase out of here. So again, white gets the puck. They're trying to attack. Red plays it in their support players. Now get open. White's got to get through the circle to be able to defend. Can't get there. Now they're looking to support. How can they quickly switch from attack to defend? And conversely, can you go from defending to now attacking? So white wins it, getting open, playing from there. Last one, this is a staple for us, 3-on-3+2. This, tries to replicate that 5-on-5 play. You've got the other grays not on the screen, but the 2 D are behind now. So when you win the puck, you have to play back to your D to regroup. Okay, in this instance, that's a D jumping up. Sometimes we'll let the D jump and go forward. So now red has it. They've got to regroup. Okay, working on our neutral zone regrouping. And they attack. So when we get here, red attacks, white wins it. Goal, puck will come into white. Now we're regrouping. Can we get into our decision-making progress and find ways to replicate what we're trying to do in a game? Again, it's competitive, trying to create opportunities to score. Pucks are live. Red's got it. Can we transition? Lots of width. Okay, you see we created width. Blue line's in play here. Okay, lots of chances to create offense. Moving to the offensive zone, 3v2+1 quick strike. So players play it back to their support players out top. They're jumping into the game. The whites are now defending. One player's got to tag the blue line before he can come back and defend. So how quickly can you make decisions? How quickly can you find that 2v1 to create opportunities? So now they just play it out. White's going to try and win it now and play their teammates who will jump in on offense. The red's got it. At some point they win it here. Yep, white wins it. White's got it. They jump in. Red tags up. We didn't in that instance. How can we seek out a 2-on-1 and transition quickly? Playing it out. And play ends. Okay, white gets it. Make one pass before they can attack. How quickly can we adjust and find places to attack? Okay, talk about constraints. Again, this time we could change it and say pucks must go below the goal line before you can attack the net. So you'll see here, player gets it. Instead of passing it, he's going to carry it below the goal line. Now you're alive and you're going to attack the net. So just by making those little changes to the game, how can we cause the players to solve the problem? Next one, 3-on-3 tag up. Again, this is a staple for us. Players play 3-on-3. Their object is to get into the neutral zone after you've defended. So that blue area is the safe area. So you'll see when I think red gets it first. If white gets possession, they need to get into that neutral zone before they get stripped of it. So red's got it. Okay, they're trying to get into the into the neutral zone. Can't defend out there. Now, can we attack? Can we find our 2-on-1s? One guy's tagging up to create a momentary 3-on-2. White gets it. Okay. Think they get it? No. There we go. White gets it. Can we find space to support the puck? Okay. He gets open. They tag up. One guy tags up for red. Now they got the 3-on-2. Can we find our 2-on-1s? Can we switch our mentality as quickly as we can to attack? Net jump. Okay. Same idea. 2-on-2. The nets are flipped around here. Players are closer to the nets. They're trying to attack. So basically, defending team wins the puck, plays it, their next guy's in line. They jump to that net while other guys recover. So they're trying to attack. 2 whites are going to recover. Red's got to make one pass before they can score. One pass. Save. So white will win the puck here. You'll see they'll play to their next teammates. Okay, long pass. jumps, he's got pressure, they jump to the net. How quickly can we get our feet moving, be aggressive to find ways to score? Okay. Next one, another staple for us, trying to create offense in the middle of the ice. You got two teams playing 2v2 on the inside the dot line. There's the space, and they've got 4 support players on the outside around the net they're trying to attack. So 2 reds on the inside here, and then 4 reds on the outside supporting them. So white wins it. The rule here would be when white wins it, they got to pass it out to an outside guy before they can score. So new puck comes in, goes outside. Can we transition? Find ways to score. Be creative. Red wins it. Got to go outside. That was a poor choice. Okay, broken play. Sometimes we'll add in a rule where you got to pass behind just to change up the way they support the puck. Puck goes in, change to the other side. How can we find and probe and find space and get open and support the puck? Same one here. Okay. Puck's dead. Puck goes into white. Got to go underneath. Obviously, that rule is how do we pop? Bad play. One of the other games that will train a lot of these concepts that is outside of the zone is just playing keep away. I saw someone posted it today in one of the Twitter feeds by Coach here, getting to know a rondo. And I don't use the term rondo, but, playing keep away or possession in areas, depending on how you want to play it, is a huge skill and way to build puck support and the ability to pass in small areas, which is a staple for us. So you were in the half of the neutral zone here. Okay, we've got 2-on-2 on the inside, and then we've got 2 on either side of the blue line as support players. Okay, as you'll see here, get it started. And all we're trying to do is keep the puck. Okay, so red's got it. They can use the guys on the outside. The outside guys can pass to one another. How can we get open to find passing angles and support angles? Wonky camera kind of goes places. Now, we may change this up too. We may say to a guy, you've got to pass into the far half before it goes to the other side. There's lots of ways to alter this game to force them to solve the problems. You may have to make one pass between the 2 inside guys before you can go to the other side. But we're just trying to get them, find ways to get open, find space, make plays in tight areas. We would do this at the beginning of practice before we get started with everything. The goalies will go in one end and work on some stuff to get loose, and we do this in the neutral zone. Usually, if we had enough players on both sides of the neutral zone. Vinny, that's all I have. Question time.
Beauty. So we had one coach ask how much of practice time is dedicated to small area games.
Oh, 90%. About 90%, I'd say, 85, 90%. Everything we do is built off of our game model and trying to train those moments and the different principles and sub-principles. So everything is focused around that. And I would say, 85, 90%. We'll do some face-off stuff, but very rarely do we stand in lines and do traditional drills that I grew up doing as a player. I just find that we talked about enjoyment and fun, and our players tend to have they enjoy coming to practice, and that we're accomplishing something. They may not even know it, but and that's part of it.
Beauty, nice. Coaches, if you have questions, right, just post them up in the chat and we'll put them out. David, did you want to have the groups put up?
Yeah, I think some of them are up there.
Yep, they're in the chat there if you see them in there, if you want to go off of that, or.
Yeah, communication. I mean, I think I talked about that. Teams that communicate or allowed teams are typically good teams. Anticipation, I think, is a good one. I think a lot of times coaches will be tough on players about cheating to create offense, but I think there's got to be a level of trust, as I mentioned earlier. We empower our players to trust their teammates that are going to get to that puck, and assume that they're going to make a play, and then they need to get into those areas to support them if that does happen, or create width, or jump a little goal line, or what have you. So I think that's important. So anticipation, recognition, and trust, I think, is a big one. What other ones are in here? Puck support, we talked about that. I was probably thinking of some of the other details like scanning or shoulder checking and things like that. I think are all important details of offensive transition. Scanning the information, taking in that information before you have to make plays is supremely important.
Do you guys zone in on, there was a good discussion in group one in there, and Coach Cyrus was bringing up teaching the soft touch of timing. Do you guys get into any of that, of the switching between gears and while supporting in an effective manner, where you're intentional about it instead of it being more of a natural thing? Do you guys spend a lot of time talking about that?
Yeah, I think if we've done a good job of building the environment like we talked about, then that success will come out of, timing things properly. If you're not on time, then you're not going to have success. You're not going to have pucks on your stick. You're not going to create offense. So for us, it's tough to teach timing when you don't have opposition. And so everything we do is opposed. And so a lot of it comes from just learning how to be in the right place at the right time. I think that's hugely important. So yeah, I mean, we definitely talk about those concepts and we reinforce them and talk about, that's one of the sub principles is timing. And so it's reinforced through, using video and teaching with the game. I think that's the important part. I think like I said, it's tough. It's tough when you do a drill where there's no opposition and you arrive, there's timing involved with those drills as well. But, when you don't have to take in, what the other 9 players on the ice are doing and the time of the game and the zone you're in and all those different things, I'd argue how appropriate is that to kind of teaching game understanding.
We had a couple questions. What program do you use for the video editing?
That was Huddle, where I showed so we use a combination of Sports Code and Huddle. So Sports Code is a bit more of a, I guess, a professional suite. So they're owned by the same company, but Sports Codes allowed you to do a ton of analysis and stat tracking within the program. And the Huddle side is really useful for sharing the video and making little playlists like that. So that playlist that I had, I could share that with the team. You could, the drawings around it all lives within there, but Huddle's really good and quite inexpensive for the amount of, hours you can get in video you can put in there. So we use those two things to share the video, and then the process the video, go through all the clips that we would make in a normal game. Like for instance, I'll just show you, we use, like this would be, I could share this, I think. Yeah, give me 1 second. So like here, this would be our game board during a game. So we talked about, that's not it. Where's it gone to? So there's you see that? Vinny, do you see that?
No, it's coming up black on my side.
You got it? Okay, 1 second. Let me do this then. Let me just share. I'll show you this is how we track game. So you got that now?
Yep.
So that board right there is on an iPad, and so that's how we track. And this will take a file that we would bring into Sports Code. And so we've gotten down, tried to minimize it. And to be fair, I'm going to edit this and make it even simpler. We try to get, and you can see offensive transition, defensive transition are 2 of the tags we have there. But we're trying to minimize the number of tags. We used to have way more, and to bring it down into a manageable number where I can really zero in on the moments that we're looking for. So we've got, we talked about those 4 moments or phases of the game. We got the 2 transitions here, and then a lot of the goals and shots will give us the other phases of the game as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Somebody else had asked, I know you track things at practice. What are those?
As much as we can, really. Every game is scored. So there's a winner and a loser in every game. So the goals obviously matter. So, individual team wins matter. Individuals' goals matter. Some games will track shots. If we're working on certain things, like let's say we're playing a game that requires a player who was just attacking to be the back pressure for the next group, we may give him a point if he can get back to a point where he touches his stick off the guy's pants or something. If we're doing power play or odd numbered situation things, like we might give a point for a clear, like a successful clear of a penalty kill. So we try and do as much as we can, really, and as we have human trackers, so it's not like it's that scientific, but it's as much as we can do. So we're trying to find ways to do more, but having that data, like we keep score, we put standings up in our locker room, and the players are quite motivated where they fall on a weekly basis. So, we give out a wrestling belt, and we have that kind of ceremony every week for whoever the champion is of at that time. And we actually added something this year. We have a golden helmet. I think you can pick it up in one of the videos, but one of the guys is wearing a gold helmet. So that's the guy who improved his standing the most each week. So that's another way to kind of, because the good players are going to filter to the top. Like, we've been lucky to have some great players who have gone on to be NHL draft picks, and those guys are going to be at the top, and you're not going to, they're not going to slide down. And, our sixth defenseman who, is never going to be in the top 10, we want him to be able to strive to be the guy who improves the most over the course of the week. So the more we can track, the better. We're always trying to find ways to do that.
Yeah. We had a question. In practice, do you prefer 2 colors or multicolor lines, ND?
2 colors. Everything's competitive. So 2 colors with numbers. We have numbers on, much like a game jersey, like front, back, sides. Next time we do, we may get back numbers put on the front. It just makes it easier for the guy tracking to have numbers all over the place. So yeah, 2 colors. We'll go some different colors for power play stuff, but for the most part, like I said, because everything is competitive, 2 colors with the numbers everywhere. And again, we have some games that are specific to position, but a lot of the things we have forward play D play forward, like they're doing everything. I think that's a big part of it as well.
Do you keep the lines together, small area games and colors in practice?
Yeah, we play around a little bit with mixing things up based on numbers and birthdays and things like that. So just trying to find ways so it's not stale. But a lot of the time, the colors will be true to their line combinations and things like that. But it's any way we can cause them a little bit discomfort and have to problem solve is good for us. We try and do as much of that as we possibly can.
Yeah. Jay, does that answer the question? I know it's kind of similar to Matt's question, so making sure.
Yeah, that was it. Perfect. Thank you.
Anything else?
All right, getting some love, buddy.
I didn't speak too fast. Thankfully. These, my email, this is at the end here. Look, I'll share it again. I can share the playlist with you if you want. 1 second right now.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, buddy. We can figure out we'll send that out.
1 second here. I'll just put it up there. If anyone wants my email address, it's there. There you go. David.manning@sac.on.ca. So I know this video never shows. I'm not sure how well the video showed. Probably not great, but I can send the playlists or any of the stuff. It's not like it's government secrets or anything. There you go, Kenny. Thank you.
Yep.
That went longer than I hoped. I apologize, everyone. And I spoke fast, so you would have been shit out of luck if I was I had a southern drawl or something. So
thank you very much. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And you did talk fast through the small area games. I was trying to keep up with that.
I know
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it went longer, so I wanted to fly through there because I didn't want to keep people too long. People got to get ready to watch the last episode of Last Dance. Canadians, Americans, I guess I've already watched it. So.
I gotta go see the recording.
Nice mustache, Steve. By the way, Steve Palmer. That is loving it.
Yes, Stan's definitely a pick.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. If there's any other questions, like I said, you have my email. Feel free to reach out, and hope everyone is safe during this strange time. And hopefully, we're back in the rinks really soon, competing against one another. So,
Thanks a lot, David. I'm jump on Vinny's toes here just for everybody's benefit. So this Friday, we're going to take a break from our Coffee with Coaches just in honor of Memorial Day in the U.S. but we'll be back next week, and we'll be announcing our next presentations coming soon. Really appreciate David taking the time to put this together and spending time with everybody, and thank you all for tuning in. For those of you on the East Coast, for pushing a little bit later into the evening. I know for David it helped with the kids, but we're really glad to have everybody on board here. So thanks so much for tuning in.
Okay.
Over to you, Vinny.
Yeah,
Marshall, David, nice job.
that was
Thank you.
perfect, Marshall. Yeah, thank you, coaches. Thank you, guys. And yeah, we'll get the material out to you guys. And yeah, stay safe. Keep going.
Yeah, you too.
All the
Thanks,
best.
Vinny. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Awesome. As always.
Take
Thank
care.
you.